have to start this video by pointing out that my microphone doesn't seem to be working, so apologies if the sound quality is not what it's usually like, and it is a little bit windy in Anfield here, so I'll try and I'll speak up and try and make sure that you can hear what I'm saying, hopefully, but apologies for that, and I will get it sorted after the international break. But of course, even with mic troubles, I had to come on and talk about this game. It was a big one, wasn't it, and a big win for Liverpool in the end as they beat Arsenal 1-0 at Anfield. And I have to say really about the game itself that, you know, if this was supposed to be an advert for the Premier League first and second from last season going up against each other, a really high profile game, well, it was a poor advert for the Premier League, because it was not a fantastic game to watch, was it? Obviously two title rivals going head to head, and yet they mustered 0.45 expected goals for Liverpool, 0.55 for Arsenal. Shots, Liverpool take 9, Arsenal 11, but when you look at the shots on target, Liverpool managed 3 and Arsenal only 1, and not a single big chance between the two sides as well. So just not a very good game. And I think if you're looking to someone to criticise for that, you maybe want to criticise Arsenal a little bit, because you look at their approach to this game, and this is nothing new, by the way. We know how they play under Mikel Arteta, but it was kind of that on steroids at times here. Long balls, playing for set pieces, trying to win the game through corners and free kicks if possible, and then in the meantime, any sniff of open play or passes being made, they were there to just try and snuff it out, and it was really kind of unattractive at times and pretty miserable, to be honest, you have to say. If it works and they come away from this, they score a goal from a corner, they get a big win at Anfield, then you say, okay, fair enough. But it's also kind of quite nice when it doesn't come off as well, because it is a little bit anti-football. It was so many long balls, as I say, playing for corners, taking the time over it, little half fouls, dragging a player back to the just long enough that if you let go, the referee doesn't give a foul, but it's all slowing the game down. As I say, Declan Rice, it's been about 10 minutes of this game, him walking to corners to take them, and it was just pretty difficult to watch. But of course, if I'm criticising Arsenal for that, and I will criticise Arsenal for that, I will also say that Liverpool, particularly in the first half, they deserve some criticism as well. They were too slow, too ponderous. They didn't want to take risks themselves. They were sometimes getting to pass themselves into Arsenal's shape and then pass themselves straight back out of it. And that was quite frustrating to watch. But I think the difference between the two managers here was really underlined in that, of the two, it was without doubt Arne Slot who, seemed like he was taking the most risks. He kind of got them in at half time and said, show a bit more endeavour, get the ball forward, move it quicker, show a bit more intensity. And you could see that in the second half performance. It didn't in the end kind of mount to them racking up a whole load of XG or absolutely peppering the Arsenal goal, but it did feel like they were the side that was trying to win it, and not just through set pieces, but trying to win it by playing their football and trying to take risks and open the game up a little bit. And so it is kind of nice to see that approach rewarded in the end, because Arsenal were just playing for those set pieces, and that it's not my kind of football. It's not the football I kind of like to watch. And as I say, if it works, you applaud the approach, and it absolutely would have been a massive win for them here at Anfield, but it didn't work. And you have to wonder whether with Arteta, that's the question you've got, is if he's so risk averse, can you go and win a Premier League being that team? It hasn't happened for them yet, and obviously this is still a long way to go in this season, but a bit of an early blow to Arsenal's chances, and also kind of a reminder that Liverpool, they will take those risks, they will throw everything at it, and that a lot of the time will be rewarded. Of course, it did take an absolutely genius moment for them to actually claim the win, but they were the team that, for me, were trying to do that. They're trying to create moments in open play, and ironically, they win it through a set piece with an incredible free kick. But again, that comes from a moment of adventure, quick zipping passes, fire one through the lines, it gets Curtis Jones in, and he wins the free kick in that moment. And like I say, bit of endeavour rewarded. And of course, the aftermath of that is not just a big win over Arsenal here, but Liverpool are now top of the Premier League. They're the only team with a perfect record, and probably most encouragingly of all, they can play so much better. You think about the game against Bournemouth, the game against Newcastle, how they won those games, how difficult they were. And again, this one, not exactly champagne football we were seeing, which maybe you would expect, because there's been so much turnover. It's difficult to be at your best when you've made so many changes within the team. And yet, as I say, the top of the league with a perfect record, and they're going to get even better. So if you are Arsenal, if you are Manchester City, of course they lost again today, it's got to be worrying for you that Liverpool are somehow, creaking out the wins at this early stage of the season, and they are probably going to play better as the season wears on. So it's a pretty amazing position that Liverpool find themselves going into that first international break. Now, of course, I'm going to pick out a few kind of talking points from the game in terms of performances I really enjoy, and obviously going to have to talk about Dominik Szoboszlai, and that is not just because of his free kick and the fact he scored the goal. I was talking to Matt Ladson from This Is Anfield, who was sat next to me, and we'd said even before that goal, he's putting in a man of the match performance again here in an unfamiliar position at right back. And I mean, look at his statistics from the game: 1 shot, 0.03 expected goals for that, so that is some finish in off the post. 2 out of 2 tackles, he wins 3 out of 4 duels, 5 headed clearances, and he just never seemed to be beaten down his flank either. He's he dealt with all the threat down that side really, really well. He's not a natural right back, but he's just looked so comfortable there, and he's done a brilliant job. But he's also influential across the pitch. He's not just stuck in that defensive role. He inverts a lot of the time. He gets into those central areas. One of his biggest kind of weapons for Liverpool today was his passing from deep. So many long passes he played that got Liverpool out, in very similar way to Trent Alexander-Arnold, and I wondered if that was something this Liverpool team would miss. But when they play Szoboszlai in that position, it really kind of, they still have that. They still have that ability to just give the ball to the right back, and he somehow gets you out and gets a brilliant ball up the pitch. So I just thought a phenomenal performance from him, and you got what you always get with him in terms of working his socks off. And I find it weird with Szoboszlai. I feel like he's one of those players who sometimes gets a little bit of stick really for his performances, but for me, he is such a key player in this side. He's basically undroppable, and I do wonder, you've got Wirtz in that midfield now, you've got McAllister, Gravenberg, who are a really good unit there. Is Szoboszlai the first choice right back? You've got to get him in the team. For me, he's been man of the match for the past 2 games, so really big decision to come the other side of the international break. If Jeremy Frimpong is fit again, and obviously Conor Bradley will be up to fitness by that point, what do you do? Because for me, you cannot take Dominik Szoboszlai out of this team. He's just far too important. You have to find a role from him, a magnificent performance from him today. And I'm talking about an uncomfortable position or unfamiliar position. He didn't look it for most of this game, did it? I thought it was absolutely phenomenal. And I thought the guy on the other side of the defence, his Hungarian teammate, was pretty good as well with Milos Kerkez, I think. I said after the Newcastle game in my analysis coming into this game that I actually thought Kerkez was very, very good in that Newcastle game, outside of the moment where Bruno climbs over him to score the header. And again, he seemed to get a lot of stick for his performance, and I think some of it was unfair. And today he comes up against Madueke, who for me was probably Arsenal's best player in the game, really the one who you felt most threatened by, and I thought he dealt with him fantastically. I mean, his statistics from the match: 2 out of 3 tackles won, 5 out of 5 ground duels. He wins duels consistently, by the way. This showed up in my analysis of him, and it was something Liverpool, duel winning was a bit of an issue for them last season. Kerkez wins his duels, as I say, 5 out of 5 ground duels, 2 out of 4 aerial duels, which is not bad. He is quite good in the air as well for a player who's not the tallest, and against a very tall Arsenal team, that's not a bad number there. 5 clearances and some really nice passes as well. One in particular, he fires in towards Chiesa on the break late in the game. I thought just really, really nice pick out. He's just, again, he's a very, very good player. He's young, he's going to get even better, and I thought he was fantastic today. And I also want to kind of pick out Curtis Jones for some praise as well. I mentioned earlier, he wins the free kick that Szoboszlai scores from and wins the game, but it's not just that he does. I thought he injected tempo into this team as soon as he comes on. He's another one for me, gets so much unfair stick. He doesn't seem to be liked on Twitter or social media in general. He comes in, he knows what his job is there. It's inject tempo, and he did it with the ball. He was zipping his passes in a way that McAllister, I thought, had a so-so game before he went off. He was firing ones through the line, putting a lot on his passes, and just directing Liverpool to speed things up in the right moments. And then he was adding intensity off the ball as well. A couple where he closes down the keeper and he's sprinting in, gets the crowd going. He just really knew what his job was when he came on as a substitute today, and I thought he did it really, really well. And I'd say that crucial moment where he wins the free kick, getting the wrong side of Zubimendi and driving with the ball, absolutely fantastic performance off the bench. And I thought he played a big role in Liverpool going on to win this game. And there's a few other bits I want to pick out as well. I want to praise the defending as a whole to keep a clean sheet in these circumstances. We criticised the set-piece defending against Newcastle, but Liverpool were pretty flawless in that against the best set-piece team in the league, and a team that was basically trying to play for set pieces. I thought they did a really fantastic job in terms of that, and I thought Florian Wirtz recovered from quite a poor first half to end up playing really well in the second half. Hopefully that was just a really bad cramp, but maybe a hamstring injury. We'll have to see what the manager says, but he ends the game with 5 out of 6 ground duels won, 3 out of 3 dribbles, and his second half was genuinely impressive after a quite a poor first half, I thought. And he's getting there, isn't he? And I think these 3 games, they've not been perfect for him, but they've been learning experiences, and that improvement you saw against a good Arsenal side, I think hopefully he can kind of keep that going. And he has a shot actually for the goal that gets ruled out in the end, and that's a really good take and shot as well that could have led to a goal. It was kind of unfortunate with the offside. So more to come from Florian Wirtz, which is very exciting, and I think he started to show that today. And to be honest, that kind of goes to the team as a whole, doesn't it, really, in that they've got 9 points out of 9, the top of the Premier League going into the first international break, but you just know that they haven't really played particularly well for large stretches of these games, and yet they're finding ways to win. And that ability, the good performances, I'm pretty sure are going to start coming, because this coach, this group of players, they will get there in terms of that. But to already be picking points up at this rate is incredibly impressive, really, because Liverpool were given, for me, quite a tough start to this season in terms of the fixture list. So that's going to ease off as they move forward. We've got some tricky games out the way with three wins on board, and they're going to get even better from here. So what a nightmare that is for the title rivals. They're also going into this last kind of day of the window planning to sign Alexander Isak and Mark Gay, and if they get those two over the line, as I say, top of the league, having won every game so far, the mood around this place is going to be unbelievable. But of course, a big few days coming. Well, I say a big few days, a big 24 hours coming up, because it is deadline day tomorrow. So can they get those deals done? We'll have to see. Of course, I will be on to cover that, and we'll be seeing what comes out of this for Liverpool. But if they do get those signings over the line, what a 24 hours this will be for the club. And yeah, very, very exciting times, I think. So do let me know your thoughts on the game in the comments. Who was your man of the match? What did you think of the performance in general? And you're pleased to see that Liverpool won out in the end, because they were the team that were trying to do so. Do let me know your thoughts on all that, and of course, if you can like and subscribe, that's massively appreciated. Liverpool in a fantastic position, could be about to get even better on deadline day tomorrow, so not bad time to be a Liverpool supporter, is it? I'll see you guys very soon.